So now to present you guys with a longer form of a video that came out earlier a few days ago. This is the commemorative trowel of the Montreal YMCA made by Robert Hendery, who was born in Corfu, Greece in 1814 and who passed away in Montreal, Quebec in 1897. This was made in 1872 and is made out of silver, gold, and ivory. And it is a loan. This information was made by the National Gallery of Ontario, and I pictured this photo myself at that museum, which is located in Ontario, Canada. So this is a commemorative trowel. I do have to make a correction in the previous video that I made about this. I was speaking about it being used for this food serving, so serving of food. A trowel is actually used in a the construction of a home or a business. I was thinking of those little triangle tools that you'll pick up a cake with and serve that. So no, that's not the same thing. Even though it looks similar, they're not the same thing. So I apologize for that mistake, and that is definitely one of my not so smart moments that has been commemorated on YouTube. I'm not always the smartest or brightest bulb in the pack, but it happens. So I apologize for that. But in any event, a commemorative trowel would not actually be used one way or the other, whether it's to serve food or to build a home or a place of business. Usually, as the name would indicate, would really be used to remember a specific event or person, etc., and really to symbolize something that was really important. So each commemorative trowel is really there to tell a story of, like I said, a particular person or historic event. Now it's a bit difficult. There's not a whole lot of history on this particular trowel as to what exactly the story is. One can assume by the title that it has something to do with the YMCA in Montreal, maybe the first one that was built. Maybe this particular YMCA, maybe there was an event there that was really important. But unfortunately, like I said, with my research, I really haven't come up with a whole lot that would tell me what exactly the event or person was being commemorated with this particular trowel. I assume it was probably the first YMCA being built in Montreal that's being commemorated because since a trowel, as I just found out, is something that's used in construction, and we're talking about the YMCA, that would be my logical conclusion. But take this with a grain of salt. I'm not 100% sure about this, so I could be wrong about that as well. So if you guys do have more information, if you're a historian and know about this particular trial or these kinds of commemorative trials, please do let me know. I'm definitely all for learning. As you can tell, I definitely am willing to admit when I make a mistake. I have no problem telling people I'm wrong. I try not to be wrong, obviously, but it does happen. You can't always be right. You can't always know everything and do the right thing, but like I said, I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong and correcting myself. So hopefully, you guys, somebody somewhere knows a little bit more information about this particular item and is able to explain a little bit more about it. But this was an item that I found at the National Gallery of Ontario, of Canada, which is in Ontario. And this is a federal museum. So basically, its objective is to present the history of Canada as a whole. So, of course, Montreal is part of Canada. I know a lot of separatists in Quebec want to change that, but for the time being, Montreal is still part of the country of Canada. And this is in an exhibit that they had. It's in, I don't know if the quote unquote the basement is the right word for it, but you do have to go downstairs to go see this particular part of the Montreal, sorry, of the National Gallery of Canada. And they had this really tiny exhibit, and it had a whole bunch of historical items from the 1800s there. And there's really very few people. I think there was maybe one other person that came into this exhibit, and I was basically there by myself taking a whole bunch of photos, which for me is absolutely fine. I have no problem being able to take hundreds of photos all by myself. So I was definitely very happy with being there by myself. I think maybe there was also a security guard because I do want to make sure that no funny business happens regardless. So I don't blame them, but hey, they're doing their jobs, and as long as I can take my photos in peace and quiet, I really don't mind. And 99.9% of the time, security guards are just there to make sure everything's kosher. So I'm absolutely fine. So if you do go to Ottawa, I definitely recommend visiting the National Gallery of Ontario if you can. It's worth the time to go there and to enjoy. And if you can go down into this section, I know that the National Gallery was doing a certain amount of repairs during the summertime and fall when I went last year. So I think that might have affected some of their plans to exhibit. So they might not have had any kind of exhibits in this particular section, but I probably will go back again this summer, especially since one of the hotels or hostels, I should say, that I normally go to was closed down for a while. Is reopening under a different name. So I do plan on going back during the summer and visiting again. Ottawa is definitely a city that I enjoy going to because of the National Gallery and a couple other places as well. And I do want to go to Quebec City again as well. Those are two cities that, as a Montrealer, I definitely enjoy going to. They're both close by and affordable. I do ideally want to go to Toronto at one point as well and see the Royal Museum as well. When I get, but Toronto, I know it's a little bit more expensive, especially I do want to go by train. It will be a little bit more expensive to go by train, but we'll see if I can get a decent price for the train ticket to go there and to find a hotel or hostel that's in my budget. So, what I really like about this particular item is the fact that there is a lot of details on this item, but that it's a common tool, right? A trowel isn't one of those tools that we look at like especially these days. Maybe when it first came out, it was very important and very much needed. But nowadays, it's a basic construction tool. We're not looking at it like a unique, uh, highly important item. It's one of those that you can find in any, here in Canada, we have what's called Canadian Tire. Rona in Quebec at one point was our Quebec version. I think it was bought out by Home Depot, which is an American company, etc. Right? It's a basic tool, right? It's a couple of dollars. It's not one of those items that's, oh my God, this has been, the tool that's made a huge difference in construction, especially when you're looking at building something like the Empire State Building or the Burj Khalifa, right? Where you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of feet of a building, right? You're not looking at this one item like this is going to be the difference. So the fact that they were able to turn this item and make it into a piece of art really shows that anything really can be art and creative and beautiful and unique and designed and used into something else. Especially like a lot of people like to shit upon construction and construction workers, but in reality, most of what we do today, if somebody didn't think of building it, we would not have it, right? Somebody had to build the Burj Khalifa. Somebody had to build the Empire State Building, your house, your apartment, whatever it is, right? Somebody had to get down and dirty and use a trowel or, whatever other construction item that there was, right? Somebody had to get into the mud in order for your home to be there and to be comfortable and to function, right? So the fact that artists are using these tools that we typically associate to a quote unquote dirty profession really speaks that in reality they're really not dirty professions. They can actually be very beautiful and very necessary. And to use that to commemorate a special event. Now, like I said earlier in this video, I'm not 100% sure what the event is. I'm fairly certain it's to commemorate the first YMCA in Montreal. But again, I could be wrong. So, um, for those of you who are able to go into the files and find out, please do let me know in the comment section that yes, I'm right or I'm wrong, or that maybe I can be partially right but it's maybe a little bit more to it. Please do let me know, like I said, in the comment section. Like I said, I'm willing to be wrong. I have a funny feeling it's that, but I could be very wrong. But yes, it's really nice to have these kinds of artifacts that show and present the history of Montreal in this case. But it could be, Toronto or Canada or whatever city, country. Maybe there's a particular person in your family or friends that has been particularly important, and to maybe use a tool that represents them and their profession and to turn it into a commemorative plaque of some kind, right? Could be a really great way to remember them, right? So when we pass away, this might be something that you might use to put next to their tomb, or integrate into their tombstone, for example. That might be one way, to commemorate them and to remember them and their life. Just, so food for thought, as I say. So I hope you guys enjoyed my review of this particular item. If you guys have any suggestions or ideas, please let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share the video if you can. Thank you very much, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day.